Hey everybody, Steve Bentley here, and this is call number 2 of the Net Fuel Masterclass. And tonight we're going to be talking about setting up your numbers, your calories, your macronutrients, dialing things in for your carb manager, and then also talking about the specifics of meals and cleanse days and fiber and electrolytes and hydration and why that's also important. So just a quick recap on day 1, in case you're catching this and you didn't catch the other one. We talked about understanding ketosis, getting healthy when you're doing keto rather than just a regular keto, which might work but may not be healthy. I don't think it is. And then preparing for the program. So going through that first week before the program even starts to make sure that things are going to dial in. You're used to using the carb manager. You're dialing in your healthy fats, bringing those up so that you don't bring them in too quickly if you start the program all of a sudden. And then getting exercise done that soft start week so that if you don't feel like exercising when the program starts, then at least you're going to feel okay mentally because you didn't have to, do without too much because you trained really hard the week before. And then next Tuesday, we're going to talk about mindset, overcoming challenges, and adjusting the program. So how to change things up. And Lily and I were just talking about that before we jumped on the call. How to change things up when your energy is changing or you're getting results or not getting results and how that all feels and how to go forward with that. And next Thursday, we're going to be talking about measuring, so different ways of measuring ketones and then just identifying whether you're actually getting results or not, whether you're measuring ketones or not, doesn't matter. There's different ways of figuring that out. And then lifestyle options, so what to do going forward. And then also my favorite, marketing and sharing isogenics and this Net Fuel program with other people so that they can get some results as well. So here we go. Okay, so let's go into determining your numbers. And this is so important because I think a lot of times people miss the mark right from the very beginning because they start off with the wrong caloric goal and the wrong macronutrients, because you're going to base your macronutrients off your calories. I'm going to assume everybody can do math. It's quite detailed in the Net Fuel program. So again, in the files section under the Start Here document, there's a lot of instruction on how to set this up. So we've got some information here on page 6 of our Masterclass notes, so you can go through that as well. But there's a lot more detail in the Net Fuel program in the file section there for you to be able to figure all this out, how to set up Carb Manager. So if you miss things here, I'm not explaining it properly, go back to that file section because it's going to give you a lot more in-depth information. This class, though, is important about understanding things. So why is it important to understand the caloric amount? Because a lot of times people, I find, when they're trying to lose weight, and they have been for a while, they undervalue the calories that they're trying to get, and they don't eat enough. And their metabolism is going to down-regulate in order to match that lower caloric intake. We sort of touched on that on Tuesday, but just to get into a bit more detail, if you eat a lot of food, right, especially if you're exercising, you're doing things, your body is going to find a way to burn a good number of those calories. If you're going to try and keep yourself into a fat adapted state, which is what we try and do with Net Fuel, you can eat a lot more calories and be able to burn through that energy because you're looking for that fat for fuel. You're not getting yourself into a fat storing state because you're controlling and managing your insulin levels a lot more effectively. So you're not always cranking up your insulin levels by eating a lot of carbs, in which case you're not always going to be in a fat storing state. So you can eat a lot if your body's in the right balance, and your body will find a way to burn those calories. Same thing goes for not eating enough. If you don't eat enough fuel, your body is going to find a way to conserve energy because it knows you're not going to be able to survive, right? So I'm a pretty fat adapted. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been going through the keto program really diligently for a while. I can access fat really effectively. I haven't eaten anything, no food whatsoever since last Sunday night. It's now Thursday evening, right? And I'm not planning on eating anything until tomorrow night. I'm going to have a shake, and a little while later, I'm going to make a nice dinner. So I've gone for 4 days now, and I'm going to go to 5 without having a single bite of food. I've gone to the gym every single day and worked out. I even went for a run on Wednesday, and I'm probably going to do another aerobic type cardio workout tomorrow after doing weights as well. Your body has lots of fat in it. You just have to figure out a way to get it. And I don't want to do this fasting for too long because then my metabolism is going to react and start to tank down. I don't know how many days that is. A lot of times people are saying it's 2. I don't necessarily agree that it's 2 days because I feel fine. I feel like my metabolism's humming along. I'm not cold. I'm generating good heat. So I don't feel like my metabolism is tanking just because I've gone 4 days without eating something. If you can get into that fat adapted state, your body doesn't really matter whether you're actually eating food and calories or you're getting them off your body. So I've dropped 9 pounds in the last 4 days. My body's going in there and accessing fat for fuel. I am not a health freak. I work out, but I don't work out like I used to when I was racing years ago. I like to enjoy my life. I drink wine, I eat ribeye steak, I make stir fries, I make creme brulee dessert and cheesecake. I love to cook and I like to eat. So I'm going to gain a little bit of weight here and there. So I'm going to lean out every once in a while. So there's lots of different ways of doing that. But you just want to get into a fat adapted state where you're able to access that fat for fuel. Okay, so as I mentioned, most people do the thing wrong from the beginning by hitting their calories wrong. So they're not accessing the right amount of calories. And there is a couple tables that I put up on the Net Fuel group the other day, giving ranges of ideal body weights for height for men and for women. And I'm going to give you a bit of an example of why I put those up there. I might include them in the Net Fuel Masterclass files or posts at some point in time. But here's what happens. Let's say somebody's 200 pounds and they're going to be happy getting down to 160 because they've had a hard time losing 40 pounds. And they're going to peg their weight at 160, but that's not what they should be at. Maybe they should be at 130. So they're choosing their calories based on that 160 pounds. They're automatically doing way too much. They're doing 300 calories more than they should at least. And then if they're exercising, there's probably going to be a factor onto that. So it might even be 450 calories that they're choosing too much because they chose a higher weight than they should have. So when I say to somebody, what's your goal ideal lean body weight? It is what's your goal ideal lean body weight for your height, not what you'd be happy with, not what you're being realistic to achieve. That's fine if you want to get to that stage and that's your mental goal for the next little while. Maybe it's not 130, maybe 160 is your goal. That's awesome. But you have to eat like you're 130 because all that excess fat doesn't need to have calories to support it. Right? We want to support the lean muscle tissue that's on your body. And that's what that lean ideal body weight is going to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you have a lot of fat to deal with. We have a lot to work with here.
So you just got to be careful. Yeah, you just got to be careful. And that's the one thing I keep hearing from people all the time is, well, I'd be happy with, no, but that's not your starting weight, right? So let's go to the page here. So page 6. So for example, right, if somebody's 140 pounds for their goal ideal weight, I don't really care what they are starting. I want to know where they want to get to is their ideal goal lean body weight. So let's say in this case, it's 140 pounds. We're going to start off by adding a 0 to the end of that. So that's 1,400. And it's kind of going to give us a bit of a base metabolic rate. Now, if somebody's not active, I'm going to add 10% onto that. So we're going to add another 140 calories. So we're now up to 1,540 calories for that person to get down to 140 pounds. If they walk a little bit, they jog a couple times, maybe they go to the gym a little bit, do a couple classes, but they're not training for anything, I'm going to add on like 20 to 25, maybe 30%. And then if they're exercising regularly, like maybe every day they're going for up to an hour, but they're not intense, they're not training for a marathon or an Ironman or triathlon or something, they're going to go maybe 30 to 40%. And then if they start to get into that routine where they're training regularly and they're doing an hour a day at least, and then on the weekends they're training for a couple of hours, they're going to go to that 50 to 75%. A really elite athlete, somebody who's training super hard all the time, maybe for an Ironman, I would maybe crank that up to 100%. So you're going to double whatever their base metabolic rate is. Okay, so let's choose as an example, somebody's going to be exercising so they get that exercise factor of 50%. Then we're going to take that 1,400 calories and add 700 to it. So there's just a couple of us. Does anybody want to give me your example and we can do specific for you, or just want me to use the example here?
Yeah, I'll give you.
Do you want to give me your example?
Yeah, mine would be 130.
So 130, okay, great. And then my first question is, so we're going to add a 0 to the end of that. So my first question is, how much do you exercise, if at all, each week?
I haven't been.
Okay, so you're going to add 10%. You're going to make this so easy for me. So you're just going to add 10% to that, so it's 130. Right, so your goal caloric intake each day is going to be 1,430 calories.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'll show you in a minute how we can figure out your macros so you know you're getting them properly.
Yeah.
Jenny?
Pardon me?
Oh, I was just asking Jenny if she wants to jump in and do hers as well.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, at first I had it too low, and then I put it a little too high, and now I thought I think I got it at the right place. So
Okay,
I had it at 30.
You're good.
And then I work out quite a bit, but not quite like marathon training. So I gave myself, I think 40%.
That's a good number.
Yes. Okay. So I'm like working out all the time right now because I work at a school. So we start on the 1st, so I have to bop that back down too, right? When my training kind of slows down.
Probably a little. And I'll tell you when we figure out your calories. So what's your goal ideal lean body weight that you think you need to be at for your height?
About 140.
140. Okay. So your example here is really close to what we did in the masterclass notes here, maybe a little bit less. So you're going to do maybe 140 calories less. So if we come up with 2,100 calories, you're going to be about 1,900 calories or so.
Yep.
And then when you drop your activity back a bit, you might go down to 1,750, 800, 1,800, something like that. Here's how you know if you're on the right mark, right? Because either you chose the wrong calorie baseline to start with, or you chose the wrong exercise factor. And that might change back and forth, right? Or you might get fat adapted quicker and start to access more fat and energy from your body, in which case you don't need to eat as much. So here's how you're going to know whether your calorie intake is too high or too low. You're going to do 2 things. You're going to look at your results. So are you losing inches? Are you losing pounds? Sometimes those aren't ideal indicators, right? But do you feel like you're in ketosis? Do you feel like things are working in terms of your body is accessing those ketones and fats for fuel? If it feels like it is, that's awesome. Then you want to ask yourself, how's my energy? If my energy is really low and you're losing weight, then you could probably increase your calories because you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough calories coming in or that you're accessing to give you the energy that you need. And you can put them up because you're losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're losing weight and you're over, like you've got lots of energy, like you don't ever feel like you're tired. Not that fat loss is a calories in, calories out thing, but there is a bit of a deprivation there. So we don't want to over fuel, right? To encourage that fat burning. So if you are losing weight and you are getting results, but you're eating too much, well, you could probably inch your calories down a little bit, and that might accelerate the loss. Right now, if you're not getting results and you're exhausted, then chances are you're not eating enough. Right? I'm going to say you, I don't mean you guys, but just in general, right? It's probably the person watching the recording. So if you're not getting results and you're exhausted, then you just need to increase your calories because your metabolism is tanking and you're not generating enough thermogenic energy in your system to burn through that fat. It doesn't need to go after the fat because you're not eating enough. And if you get your calories wrong, even if you get your macronutrients right, that ratio of 5% carbs, 25% protein, 70% fat, if your calories are too low, your body will stop itself from going into ketosis because it can't let you do that in order to keep conserving that fat. Or you'll generate ketones to fuel your brain, but that's it. It's not going to let you start to burn those free fatty acids, all that excess fat that you've got. Now, if you're not getting results and you're tons of energy, well, that's an indicator that probably you're eating a bit too much, and you could lower that down a little bit. So I always like people to do this for a little while. If somebody's metabolism is really messed up from years of dieting and maybe doing hormone replacement stuff that may mess them up a little bit, under eating for too long, it might take a little while for their metabolism to come back up again. It might take months, right? But at the very least, I want people to do this for a couple of weeks because they might not be used to eating as much calories as I want them to do, but their metabolism is slow initially, and by eating more, they might feel like it's too much, but you got to give it a chance to kind of rev up. So that's kind of it's so important to make sure people get dialed into the initial caloric intake and knowing what the right amount is. So that's pretty straightforward for that. So let's jump into the actual macronutrients. So on ultra,
Can I ask a question? And this may not pertain right now, and you can tell me to ask later. But because I know you're approaching all types of people, and so when a person is really heavy, for example, like I have been, do you encourage them to lose as much weight as possible? And at what point do you think a percentage body weight loss, do you think they can begin engaging without, hurting themselves? Because
it's a good question. I've helped a lady lose 70 pounds in 90 days. She was 60 years old. So
okay.
I look at that and I think, okay, you're 60 years old. It's probably going to take a while to lose that 80 pounds that you've got to lose. But she lost 70 pounds in 90 days. That is crazy how fast it came off her body. So I don't worry about it anymore. I just try and do things in a healthy way and then let people's bodies react as they're going to, because I don't want to hold people back from losing the weight that they could. And I don't want to force them to do things that they're not comfortable doing or that might be too hard for them. So I just lay out a really good, healthy program for them, explain why they're doing what they're doing, and then help them try as much as possible stay on track. That's really the big key for most people. And then it's the consistency of doing the right thing that's going to get them the results. Because if you're following the program perfectly for a week or two, and then you fall off track every 2 weeks for 3 or 4 days, you're always going back to the beginning to get started again, right? And that's frustrating for people. So for the most part, when I'm coaching somebody, it's helping them understand that you're doing great things every day. Because a lot of times people are just beating themselves up because they fail at things. We fail at things every day, right? We always fail at things. And if you're going to focus on the things that you fail on, then you're always going to be beating yourself up and not thinking that you're worthy to get results. So it's always looking at the things that you're actually doing, right? Like, you wake up in the morning, you make your bed. Awesome. That's a great strategy to get through the day, right? You went to the gym. I don't really care whether you did a great workout or not. You went. That's awesome. Just being consistent and doing things and building off that rather than building off all the things that we don't do great, because there are always things that we don't do great. You can almost have a selective vision for what's going on in your life to focus on the things that you're successful at, because there's always going to be failure. Okay, so let's get into the macronutrients, because these are so important. The reason we're coming up with the calories is so we can figure out the macronutrients. And once you've got the calorie figured out, so let's say it's 2,100 calories is our example here, so we can follow along so it's not confusing. Then if you're doing the ultra program, you're going to be under 20 grams. That's about 5% approximately. It's going to be different depending on your total calorie intake. But it's about 5% to be under 20 grams. And if you're going to do the light program, you're doing under 50 for the first 2 weeks, but everybody's going to under 50 in week 3, okay? So we're just going to put in the amount of max net carbs. I'm going to show you how to do this in a minute. When we get onto the Carb Manager app, I'm going to pull it up right on the screen and share that with you and show you how to do that. And then what we're going to do is just punch in the net carb limit that we've set, whether it's either 20 or 50. And I don't really care if you're under, right? People that do 50 all the time quite often are in the 30s or 40s, right? It's not like you have to eat 50. Just try and get as low as you can within reason, but try and get good stuff in. Sometimes people get all freaky about it in terms of the under 20, and I've seen people do 6 or 7. I'm like, okay, so that's not smart, because there's a lot of good nutrition in carbohydrates, in fiber, and if you're lowering your carb intake to 6 or 7, I'll guarantee you're not eating enough carbs and good quality macronutrients from carbohydrates that need to come into your system. So 20 is a good number to shoot for. And usually that's not that hard for people, especially if they go through that soft start week and they get into the groove of eating properly and knowing what they're doing that's really kicking them over. The problem most people have is keeping their protein low enough and getting their healthy fats high enough. You can eat crappy fat, right? But we want to get healthy fats into your system. So our protein requirement is going to be about 25%. So we're going to take that total number of calories. So in this case here, we're on page 7 here. So the example is 2,100 calories. We're going to multiply that by 0.25. Right? This is for the first 2 weeks of Ultra. On weeks 3 and 4, because we're increasing our carbs to 10%, we're going to have to lower the protein and fat. So on weeks 3 and 4, the protein comes down to 23%, and the fat comes down to 67%. But for now, we're just going to do this calculation. So we're going to come up with 0.25 multiplied into 2,100, and that's going to give us the 25% of 2,100, and that's 525 calories. We're going to divide that by 4, because there's 4 calories per gram. So we want to figure out how many grams are in this 525 calories. That's 131 grams of protein. So if somebody's looking at getting 2,100 calories in, they're just kicking in to the upper limit of the protein intake that I like people to use IsoPro. And I want them to get about half of their protein requirements from IsoPro. So when you're doing under 100 grams, you're going to do 1 scoop of protein twice a day, or 2 scoops once a day. If you're between 100 and 130 grams of protein, you're going to do 1.5 scoops of IsoPro. And if you're over 130, then you're going to do 2 scoops. So in this case, this person would be doing 2 scoops of IsoPro twice a day in their shakes, and then they're going to build their other protein requirements around that. And so for fat, we want to do 70% of the macronutrients. So we're going to multiply 2100 by 0.70. That's 70%. That's going to give us 1470 calories. We're going to divide that by 9, because there's 9 calories per gram. So we want to figure out how many grams of fat are in 1470 calories. And that's 163 grams. So we're going to put those numbers in a minute into the Carb Manager app so that you can see how that all works. One of the big things that I find people mess up with, and as I'm talking here, I'm going to go into our Carb Manager app. One of the main things I see people mess up is they don't actually enter the stuff into the Carb Manager app before they eat it. So as you can see, we're on page 8 here. This is so important. Enter your food and then eat it. And what I always like to do is like, okay, what do I feel like eating tomorrow? What do I think I'm going to feel like eating? I can tweak it a little bit. This is a specific program, so I'm going to try and keep things simple, but I'm also going to be try and be pretty deliberate. So I'm going to think there the night before, what do I want to eat tomorrow? And I'm going to put all that stuff into the Carb Manager app, and I'll show you an example in a minute. And I'm going to keep tweaking my amounts and the types of food that I'm going to eat until I get the right mix of proteins, carbs, and fats. Okay? So here's an example. So this is one of my logs here. So this is the 2,346 net calories. Would be my goal for the day, right? So I'm going to go up into the Carb Manager app. It looks the same on your phone as it does here. So you're going to go down here to Getting Started. I'm going to show you how to change the numbers. So in the Getting Started app, you're going to make sure you've got net carbs set up. You're going to track all your macros. You're going to track your calories. And I just set it in imperial US and then calories for the energy units. You can click Continue. Male, 66, when I'm born, 5'11", current weight, 185. I'm going to say lightly active, okay? And then I don't want to make a change here in my weight because for me, I'm happy with my weight. I want to stay at 185. So if I make a change here, Carb Manager is going to make some adjustments to my calories, and I don't want it to because I might put 2,346 in my thought process. But if I say, I'm trying to lose weight here, look what it does to my calories. See, if I try and lose 10%, it's going to drop my calories by 400 down here. I don't want that, right? So I'm going to leave this as 0. I'm going to so in the previous page, what you're going to do is select the weight that you want. What's your goal weight, not what your current weight is, and then choose Maintain Weight here. And Carb Manager is a lot less likely to mess around with your calories, okay? So I'm going to put 2346 in here. And then I'm going to go down here and choose Custom Percentage, this one, or I'm going to go up here to 525/70 keto. Either one is fine, okay? And then we're going to go into net carbs. So let's choose this one here. Actually, let's do this here to 2100 to show you what we've got for the example that we're using. We're going to change this to 20. Okay. See, this is what Carb Manager does quite often. And then, yeah. Okay, so I don't want to do that. Let me go back again. I like it when it doesn't work because that's a good example of how to set this up. Okay, it's not going to let me go back. So here's the other way of doing it. You're going to go into Settings and go up to Macros. So here, Settings, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to go to Macros. Mm-hmm. I went back and did that over because when I'm following these things online, people are whipping their cursor around all over the place. I have no idea where they are. So we're going to Settings, Macros, and we're going to change things here. So we're going to go to, actually I'm going to go to my profile and change the start weight to, let's just say, 130. Lightly active, we'll go to macros, and then we're going to choose 2100 here. Now let's choose keto, so we can put in the 20 grams. 5%. Leave that there for now. And then we're going to go I think we were at 131, did I say? Yeah, and 163. So we can change that. 163. And then we want to tweak this down. See, it's trying to get, there we go. Okay, 133, 131. So we can change that. So I'm going to apply macros and see if it does what I want. Yeah, so it's pretty close. 131, 163, 166. So that's pretty close. This would drive me crazy though, seeing that one there on the next page. So I'm going to try and set that up. There we go. Okay, so we're set. So now that I've got that plugged in, I might try and do this one too. Yeah, see, that's going to mess that one up. I'm mainly concerned about this one here. I don't mind if I'm a gram or two over here. So now we can go back to your daily log. And you're going to see it's 2100. You got 20 grams of net carbs. You got 165 grams of fat. So ideally we get 163. I'm not concerned about 2 grams. And the same thing here with the protein. Does that make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's how you set that up. You saw that I had to mess around with it a little bit here and there to adjust things, and that's totally normal with the carb manager system. So let's set up a food tracking thing. So we're going to go through and put a few things in. There's a couple of quick little things here that you can do. Pages 8 and 9 are really just going through what we just did there on the screen. But really what I want to try and do here is I want to set it up so that I can copy things over each day from day to day, because I don't like entering these things all the time. So let me move this over a bit here. Okay. So I'm going to click the plus sign here. And we're going to go put an Isopro Vanilla by Isogenics. And let's say we're going to do two scoops for that shake, right? And we're going to click add, and we want to do it in a snack. I like to put my shakes in snacks because I'm going to have breakfast is going to be my coffee. My lunch is going to be my meal, right, with spinach and cheese and whatever. My dinner might be a piece of meat and some vegetables sauteed in butter or MCT oil or something like that. But my first shake is going to be a snack. My second shake is going to be a snack. You can rename these if you want. I just leave them the way they are. I'm going to click add to that. And then I'm going to go MCT oil, right? So I'm going to do, let's say, a tablespoon of that. I'm going to put that in there. And maybe, what else would I put in there? So maybe some coconut milk, right? Maybe a quarter of a cup, maybe a tablespoon. Yeah, that's not very much.
Stephen,
light.
Are you using, mine looks different than yours.
Are you
have a list.
You're a carb manager?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
But I'm having to go back to the day before to see what I used, and you seem to have a list of all that you've eaten. I mean, that you've had before. How do you do that? Where did you?
Oh, okay, good idea. Yeah, that's a good.
What setting did you put it on?
Yeah, let me show you that. Okay. So let's just add this coconut milk in here.
Mm-hmm. Sorry,
that's okay. No.
Hey, wait a minute.
There we go. So let's say I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put in half a cup.
Mm-hmm.
That's not right. Yeah, that's good. Okay. See, it brought everything down here. That's what I'm looking for here. Okay. So let's say I did that. That's my shake. So we're going to close that. So here I've got the snack is my shake,
mm-hmm.
right? And when I'm looking for this, I've put these things in the past. So if I'm going to add something in, I'm going to click this little plus sign here because I want to add some food. So let's say I'm going to add my coffee for the morning, right? I'm going to click that.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are going to pop up from what I've been used to putting in. So I'm going to click coffee. And let's say I'm doing 20 ounces. I'm going to put breakfast here and click add. Okay. Same thing with MCT oil because I'm still on the screen here. So I'm going to do MCT oil. Say I'm going to put a tablespoon in for breakfast. There. Okay. So I'm going to close that. Did that answer your question to show you where that was? I'm going to show you how to copy it.
I don't think mine has that pop-up. That's the deal.
Are you on your computer or your phone?
I'm on my phone. Why?
Okay. It should give you that. Do you see this plus sign here?
Yeah.
Click that.
Okay, let me get out of settings though. Okay. It's loading it, sorry.
It's okay. Jenny, any questions?
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Okay, you got it? So the more stuff you put in there, the more that's going to populate. So here, let's say I do this every morning for breakfast. I'm going to click these little green dots here on the right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to copy that over to tomorrow. So copy to tomorrow, set.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put it for breakfast. Okay, and so if I go to tomorrow, there's the coffee that I just copied over. So I don't have to enter it again. So if I'm doing the same thing more or less every day, I don't want to have to re-enter everything. The same thing with the snack here. If I'm doing this exact shake this in the afternoon, I'm going to go copy to, and it's today. I'm going to copy to today. It's going to ask me what snack. I'm going to go snack 2. See, and that puts it down here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And for breakfast, I might want to do, the complete essentials line. So I could go complete.
Pancakes.
I love pancakes. 4 days of not eating anything.
Sorry, I mentioned that.
You're killing me. So we're going to add that for breakfast. And so that's I'm going to add that in there, and you'll just see it's all over there. So I can copy that over to the next thing. Some people put it under supplements. You could do that as well, right? So you're just copying over your supplements every day. So now I can copy over this snack, so this shake, to tomorrow as well. Snack 1, and I can copy over that snack, that shake, to tomorrow as well. Snack 2, and then if I go to tomorrow, you can see I've got my shakes, two shakes, got my coffee, got my MCT oil in there, and see, look at that, with just 2 shakes and my coffee, I'm already at half my grams for the day. So if I'm entering this at night, I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, what am I going to eat tomorrow? So let's go, right? Let's figure that out. Let's just do it. Your guys are okay if I do this?
Yeah. What are you going to eat tomorrow after a 4-day? You're going to start with a shake.
Well,
I'm
going to use an example as if I was doing this program, right?
Yeah.
So let's say spinach.
Okay.
So I'm going to go for some spinach, raw spinach, because I love just throwing that in there. And I'm going to say, okay, so I got 11 grams of carbs that I can use, right?
Uh-huh.
Remember I had 9? So I got 11 grams, and I'm looking, okay, 2 cups of spinach is 1 gram of carb. I like that, okay? So that's awesome. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do some green onions. Green onions. So I can do, see, 1 cup is 6 grams, so that's too much, so I don't want to do that. So maybe I could do an ounce of green onions, those long, thin onions. So I'm going to do that. So that's going to give me 2 grams of carbs. And then I'm going to do some cheddar cheese. Maybe I'm going to do an ounce of that. Perfect. And then, I'm going to hope that this is going to be wrong, and I'm going to have to adjust things, right? But I'll show you what I'm doing in a minute. Let's say I'm going to do a hard-boiled egg. Boiled egg. I'm going to do 2. That for my lunch, and I'm going to mix that up with some mayonnaise. And I'm going to do a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of that, because I love mayonnaise. And maybe some olives. I'm going to mix all that together in a dish for 4 medium olives. I like it. Okay, good. So now let's go back and see where we're at. Okay, I'm at 14 of 20 grams of carbs. I'm at 95 of 165 of fat, and I'm at 95 of 133 grams of protein. So I'm getting close for my carbs. I am nowhere near what I need to be for my fat. So I'm going to go back and add in some olive oil. I'm going to make a dressing. I'm going to put, let's say, 3 tablespoons of olive oil for my lunch. And I'm going to add in some mustard. This is a great dressing, and there's 0 grams of carbs, but it's lots of fat in there. So mustard, you can do prepared mustard. I'm going to do maybe 2 teaspoons See, no carbs, right? It's awesome. There's for my lunch. And then maybe some apple cider vinegar. This is really great. Just looking for the Bragg's. That's what I have. But, oops. Okay, they're not gonna, I don't have that. That's crazy. Okay. Okay, so I'll just put that.
Here it is.
0 grams of fat, right? 0 grams of carbs. It's just awesome flavor. Maybe put a tablespoon of that in for my lunch, and then that'll leave it. Okay, so let's go take a look at where we're at. Still at 14 grams. Look at, I jumped the fat up by 40 grams. It was 95, now I'm at 135. Protein, I need a lot of protein room for my dinner because we haven't put my dinner in yet, right? So there's my lunch. So if I want to do this same type of lunch tomorrow, but I want to change it up, I can go in here and copy that to tomorrow, right? For lunch. And let's say I want to, oh, did I do that twice? I did. Okay, I already did that. So if I wanted to go in here and change this, I could delete this. Let's say I didn't want to do the boiled eggs, right? I can delete that entry for boiled eggs. And maybe I want to do tuna instead, but I'm going to keep everything else the same because I love the way it tastes, but I just want to switch it up. So you just copy everything over and then just change out the components that you want. It's so simple. Okay, so let's go back to today. We're going to figure out what we're going to have for dinner. So I'm going to go ribeye. Oops, put it over here. So I'm going to have some ribeye steak. And I'm trying to figure out how many ounces I need. So this is 23 ounces, and I think I can't remember how many I had room. Let's just say 4. I'm going to go add to today. Where was I? Okay, I need another 30. Okay, good. So I can get more, maybe for these eggs here too. Oh, you know what? I copied it over. I didn't. Oh, I was in the other day. That's what I did. Okay, let me go back. I gotta go over here. I was over here, that's what I did. So I'm gonna go in here and copy this to the last day. I'm gonna delete these. Okay, good. Sorry about this. It's just, at least it's showing you how quickly you can mess around with this stuff. Because this is where most people get all screwed up, is they don't enter all this stuff the night before, and then they're trying to do all this the day of while they're trying to eat it all, and it's just crazy. So let's go in here and add in some hard-boiled eggs. Boiled eggs are there. Let's put in maybe 3 for lunch. Okay, good. We're mixing that up with mayonnaise. Okay, so I'm going to change this now because I want to have more steak and I don't want to have 3 eggs, right? So I'm going to change the eggs to 2. And then I'm going to go into the steak here and I'm going to have, oh wait, where am I at? So this is what I do every night beforehand. So I get 8 more grams of protein. I want more steak. I like steak. So I got 8 more grams. I'm going to try and get this up to 38.
You're going to bring the cow in.
There we go, right? 38 grams, bang. So I'm right on the protein now, and I need a little bit more fat. So I could go in and go, okay, maybe I'm going to add a little bit more MCT oil here, or a little bit more olive oil in my dressing here. Or, you know what I didn't do is I've got mayonnaise for the dressing for the salad, but I didn't get some mayonnaise here for the boiled eggs. So I could go in here and add in a little bit of mayonnaise to mix in with my hard-boiled eggs, right? So let's say I'm going to do 2 tablespoons, maybe just 1. That's going to put me over. Maybe I'm going to do a teaspoon, or 2 teaspoons. Okay, so I'm under on the, I'm missing something for the, oh yeah, I haven't got vegetables in here for my dinner yet. Right here, I'm just having a steak. That's not cool. Okay. Oh wait, so pretty close for the fat, but I'm going to add a little bit of fat in here. I'm good for the protein. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to go, okay, I got 6 grams of vegetables that I get to have. What am I going to have? I'm going to have some broccoli. Right? Raw, cooked from fresh. So I got 6 grams. So I'm going to do a cup of broccoli. I can do, what's that? Oh, 1.5, okay. So I go 1 cup, 6 grams, a little bit of protein and fat. That's going to work. Okay, so I go up here, and if I can steam that, so I'm right on for my carbs, right on for my fat, and I'm just a little tiny bit over for my protein. I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to go, that's a pretty good day.
Beautiful.
Now I'm going to have all that written out in my carb manager, and I'm just going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to do my couple of shakes, my coffee in the morning, my vitamins. For dinner, I'm going to have some steamed broccoli and a ribeye steak, which is going to be awesome. And then for lunch, we've got that little salad here with some cheese and olives and hard-boiled eggs mixed with some mayonnaise and a little dressing on top. Does that make sense?
Great.
So then I can copy this over to the next day and switch it up. Maybe I want to do kale instead of spinach. So I switch that out and then adjust things until I need to. Really not that complicated. When you get into the groove of it, you're just copying things over. So if this stays the same, that's awesome. When you get into weeks 3 and 4, you're going to change this because you might do a scoop of IsoPro and a scoop of IsoLean shake.
Right.
Or maybe that tri-release protein, right? Like those are different options for doing that. So that's how I would use the Carb Manager app. And it's so important to make sure you're entering things into your app every night before you start to eat them the next day. Because that way you can go, okay, I don't have room to do other things. And you might decide, okay, I want some macadamia nuts as a snack, right? Maybe another snack through the day. And if you're low on some of these things, you can go, okay, I got room to add in another little snack. But what I've found for a lot of people, and myself included, is trying to eat all these calories in an 8-hour window is hard. Like you're pretty full. So the difficulty is getting to 11 o'clock and not eating, right? That's where this coffee with the oil in it in the morning is so important. Okay, so that's the app. Let's pull out of the screen share here. Any questions on any of that? Pretty straightforward. Okay, let's talk about the specifics of the days and all that other stuff that I just whipped through there in terms of meals, right, and cleansing days. So now we're on page 10, and I really want to talk about the importance of all of this here because it is so critical. Obviously, this is what you're putting in your body that's getting you into ketosis. So first of all, we'll get rid of some of the things that aren't to do with the food, and that's hydration and electrolytes. So the 2 things that I've been really diligent on this week when I'm doing these cleansing days, these fasting days for 4 to 5 days, is hydrating really well and getting salt in regularly. So I'm just doing pink sea salt regularly through the day. I'm putting it in my water, I'm putting it in my hand, licking it off. I just want to get good electrolytes into my body because if I don't feel right, that's usually what's going on. I'm either getting dehydrated or I'm not getting good osmotic balance. If you drink too much water, what you're doing is you're actually pulling the water out of your cells because it's going to go, the fact that all this clean water you're drinking doesn't have electrolytes in it, and you've got the minerals and electrolytes in your system, it'll pull water out of your cells through osmosis to go and diffuse across the membranes there to get more minerals into the water that you're drinking. So you want to make sure you're getting good water in. So if somebody's peeing an awful lot when they start isogenics, usually they're not drinking enough minerals. They're not getting enough electrolytes in. If you're, like, say somebody's like a nurse or something and they just can't go to the bathroom, or if somebody's complaining that I just can't go to the bathroom this much, I can't do a cleanse day on that day, put a lot more electrolytes into your system and you won't be going to the bathroom nearly as much because you're shuttling that water from your stomach in your intestines into your system because you've got a lot of high electrolytes in there. So it's got to move the water the other way. Instead of pulling water out of your system and you're peeing a ton, you're pushing water into your cells. So electrolytes are really important for hydrating your system. And we want to hydrate really well because as you get on this program and you start cutting out your carbs, your body's going to dump water. So those pounds that you're losing initially when you start cutting those carbs out, a lot of that's just excess water that you're dumping out because your body's trying to balance things out. So we want to get good electrolytes and so you bring the water back in because it's good for hydration and metabolic function. So we want to have that. And electrolytes, keep it simple. a cup like that, it's like 24 ounces. I would put like a quarter of a teaspoon of ground pink sea salt in that. And if that's too salty for you, then just go to an eighth of a teaspoon. If you can't taste it at all, add more in. But you just want to get that salt in. Now, meal days are so important in terms of this whole strategy, because this is where we're focusing on the quality of the macronutrients that you're getting into your body. So we'll start with the fats, because there's quality protein, carbs, and fats, but let's start with the fats, because it's so easy to get crappy, cheap, easily accessible, bad fat, right? Saturated fats, trans fats, overly processed fats. It's easy to get those fats. A lot of them tend to be associated with carbs. French fries, for example, would be a good one. So we're not going to be eating French fries on a program like this. You're not going to be eating chips. But getting good fats in is important. So if you can think of fats from plants, you're going to be way farther ahead. So olive oil is a great example. Avocado oil. Avocados are a great source of fat. Olives would be great, obviously. Olives, olive oil. MCT oil comes from coconuts. So we want to get this purified form of coconut oil. It's medium chain triglycerides. And you can spend a lot of money on that if you want to get that bulletproof version, or you can just get like a less expensive. The bulletproof one is probably going to help you feel better and maybe work a little bit better, but it's not that much more. I use stuff from a company called Now Sports. It's $16 for a 32-ounce bottle. And it's like a third the price of, an equivalent of, the bulletproof branded type of MCT oil. So it's good quality. It's going to do what I need it to. You're looking for healthy fats. Nuts are another great version. Macadamia nuts, maybe at the top of the list, and maybe Brazil nuts, almonds. Cashews are way down the list. Just say to yourself, you're not having cashews for the next little while, because they're so high in carbs. They're going to totally screw up your macros. The other thing, you can have bacon and cream cheese, things like that. I love bacon wrapped jalapeno pepper poppers stuffed with cream cheese. They're awesome, but I'm not going to have them every night, right? So there's a place for them in here, because this is a great, tasty way of eating. It's not like having a salad that's dry, maybe a little bit of lemon juice sprinkled on it. I remember those days. They were awful. This is a really tasty way to eat. So take advantage of the fact that you can get those fats onto your food and get those in, because it's really important for your body to get fat so that it can feel good about burning fat. And this is why the low fat craze never worked. Number one, you're restricting fats from your system, and it needs fats to be healthy. So it's not going to burn fat as readily. And number two, think of go back to the pie chart, right? When we're on the Carb Manager app there. It's 100% of your calories are coming in from your macros of carbs, proteins, and fats. So if you're going to lower your fat, you're going to probably be increasing your carbohydrate intake. So by decreasing the carbohydrate intake, and we don't want to overdo it on the protein, we have to really crank up the fat. So that's why we start people with the oil in their coffee first thing in the morning. I get it. I don't particularly like it. I'm used to it now, but I didn't initially. But it's so important to keep you full so that you're not thinking about snacking and being starving through the morning until you get to that 11 o'clock where you can start your eating window. Okay. That morning coffee, so right down here at the bottom of 10, we're talking about that. There's a couple different things that you can do. If somebody's really got a lot of weight to lose and they want to be perfect with the program, I would suggest they do the MCT oil and the ghee, because it's much cleaner and going to give them way less issues as they go through the program and they're getting results. And or if they're starting and they don't have a lot of weight that they need to lose, then they can do some different things like cream, maybe half and half. Butter instead of ghee. I don't particularly like the taste of MCT oil and ghee in my coffee, but I like a little bit of Kerrygold pasture-raised butter and some cream. That's a great tasting coffee for me. And some people put some stevia in. Putting a little pinch of salt in your coffee too really snaps up the flavor. So that's another strategy to just try and get people trying different things. If somebody says, I don't drink coffee, I tell them, try it, right? It's a great way to activate your metabolism and keep you full through the morning. Sometimes tea would be better for them. This whole bulletproof coffee thing started actually with tea. Dave Asprey was hiking in the Himalayas and he came across a village and they gave him some yak tea with yak butter in it. So tea with yak butter. So it wasn't even coffee that it started with, but coming back here and marketing that, he's not going to do very well marketing tea because this is the US. So he's marketing coffee. And it worked really well. It's super popular. And it works great to keep people full through the morning. Okay, so the shakes we talked about in detail there when we were doing the carb manager app. So we're on page 11 now. There's your protein sort of outlines between, if you're under 100 grams of protein, you're going to do 1 scoop twice a day. Or if you just want to have 1 shake, that's going to be a pretty big shake for a small person. They can do 2 scoops of Isopro. If you're 100 to 130, it's 1.5 scoops twice a day. And if you're over 130 grams, you're going to do 2 scoops. Sometimes people misread the instructions and they're getting, so if you hear people saying, I don't have any room in my carb manager app for any more protein. I'm having my 2 shakes and I'm maxed out. I can guarantee you they didn't see this. They didn't read this properly, and they're doing 2 scoops of Isopro twice a day, and they should probably only be doing 1 or 1.5. So if you're doing 2 scoops of Isopro twice a day and you're under 100 grams of protein, well, 2 scoops of Isopro is 72 grams right there. You don't have much room left for other protein for the rest of the day. That's why I want people to just have a 1 scoop twice a day if their protein requirements are under 100 grams. It's so important for that. Food, as you saw from my lunch there, that's what I did pretty much every day for the program. I just switched this around, tried different types of cheese. Maybe I tried a couple different things, like olives fit in there well. I might try different vegetable, maybe cut up some, instead of green onions one day, I might do some radishes. I might do some cauliflower in there. Try just different things. But once you set it up, you can just copy this whole thing over and you're going to love how good this tastes. And now you're just switching it around to make it a little bit more unique from each day to the next. So chicken in a can is really good. You can get them in little individual tear packs of chicken and tuna. Those are great. They've got a nice little flavor to them quite often. Bumblebee makes a tuna pack. It's $1 at the HEB grocery store that I'm at. And it's like half a can of tuna, but it's got flavors in it. And it has sriracha, lemon pepper, jalapeno, right? Like there's cracked pepper. There's so many different flavors. And you just take that and you can put a tablespoon of mayonnaise right in that pack, right? Mix it all up and eat it. Doesn't even have to mix in with your salad if you don't like tuna or egg mucking around with your salad. Try different cheeses in here. Just try that each day and just move that over. And then for the dinner, I had ribeye steak and broccoli on this one. The next night it might be chicken with a cream sauce and some mushrooms, right? Try different things. But as you can see here, there's a list of 10 vegetables that I usually just rotate through in my lunch and for sure my dinner, because I'm going to pick a protein and one of these vegetables and saute it up in some butter or MCT oil or coconut oil. And that's my dinner. So you can see asparagus, broccoli, spinach, zucchini, avocado, cauliflower, mushrooms, kale, green beans, and peppers. Avocado is another great one that you can add to your lunch in the middle of the day. Okay, so that's really simple. I've got some ideas here on things that you can do to buy in terms of spices and minced garlic and ginger in a jar, super convenient for cooking. You don't have to make this complicated. Like I like to cook, so I get excited about creating different meals, but other people, they just don't have the time and they don't like to cook or they think they don't know how. But if you just get them focusing on the simple things, start simple and easy and then expand from there. Get some salt and pepper and some ginger and garlic in a tube or a little jar, flavor it up with that, and you can jazz it up. And next thing you know, you start to enjoy it because you're creating something that's so clean and good for you because you have no idea what you're actually eating when you go to a restaurant. Michelle and I might eat at a restaurant once a month. Maybe, right? I'm a better cook than most meals I'm going to get out. And it's cleaner and I know exactly what's going in our food. So you eat out a lot and you're having a hard time losing weight, there's a really good chance that you're putting in a lot of stuff in your body that you don't even have a clue is what is in there. Like the sugars that are going into sauces, MSG, right? It's in the flavorings. That's all loading stuff into your system that's going to hold you back from optimal health. So also in the Carb Manager app, there's a recipe section if you're doing the Premier version, and you can pull that recipe up and pick the number of servings and it'll load the macronutrients for that meal right into your app. It's super simple. And you just follow the recipe. Okay, here's fiber is super important as well. It's so easy to dismiss this, but if we go back to the Carb Manager app, I'm not going to pull back the screen share, but that meal of a day there that I just pulled up was 12 grams of fiber. right? There's a good bit of vegetables in there, but that was only 12 grams of fiber. Women need 25 a day and guys need 35 to keep things moving and keep healthy. Fiber is great for absorbing impurities and toxins and undigested food and such in bad fats and things in your intestines. And when you're doing cleansing days, you're going to be releasing impurities into your bloodstream. Your kidneys are going to filter that out, but you're also going to be releasing toxins into your intestines. So if you don't have enough hydration, you're not going to be able to pee those impurities out. But if you don't have enough fiber in your system, in your intestines, from the food that you've been eating the week leading up to your cleanse days, you don't have that fiber to absorb those impurities and toxins when they get dumped into your intestines. So it's really important to make sure that you get enough fiber in. So you can use Fiber Pro, right? But that's got a 1 gram of net carbs in it. So psyllium husk or psyllium husk powder is usually, you can find that with 0 grams of net carbs. So you just put a teaspoon of that in your shake and drink it quick. If you're going to use the powder, it's going to gel up your shake, and it's not so cool. The husks they don't gel up as much. You just want to add that right into your shake. And a teaspoon is like 4 or 5 grams of fiber. So you add in, 2 of those, and now all of a sudden you're into the, you're into the low to mid 20s, and now you're up for your fiber requirement for the day. So add in a teaspoon in your morning shake, or a teaspoon in your afternoon shake, and you're good. It doesn't take much, but you have to do it consistently leading up to those cleanse days. And so almost finally, we've got the cleansing days. And this is where a lot of times people really find the NetFuel program really so much easier than what they've ever experienced on cleansing days before. Because I don't want people eating, because you might be cleansing if you're eating snacks or food, or I don't care what it is. Isodelight chocolates, whey thins, you might still be cleansing your body. I don't know enough about the biochemistry of getting toxins out and all that phase conversion, but I guarantee you're not fasting. And if I'm going to go without eating for a couple of days, I want to get not just cleansing benefits, but I want to get the fasting benefits as well, of that cellular turnover that we talked about, where your body is recycling those old inefficient cells. I want that happening in my system, and I don't want to be eating. So I haven't eaten on cleansing days for years. So when I came in and did the NetFuel program, I just got people to focus in. You're not going to eat anything. You're going to find it easier. You're going to be hungry initially, but afterwards, you're not going to be thinking about food all the time, because you're just not eating. And your body's not waiting for the next hit of fuel, because if you keep eating a little bit regularly, it's going to say, we don't have to go through the trouble of getting good at burning fat for fuel. We'll just hang on for an hour, because she's going to give us another Isodelight snack in a little while. So it waits for that. And your brain knows that you're getting close to that, and it'll ramp up those hunger feelings to make sure that you get that snack. Don't do it. Just stay away from that food. And like I'm saying, I haven't eaten anything since last Sunday. And it's crazy. I'm a little hungry right now, but you think I would be starving. But I just haven't eaten anything, so my body's not expecting it. And if you get those 2 ounces of cleansing drink or 1 scoop of the powder every 2 hours through the day, so you get 8 servings in. So if you start at 6 in the morning, you're going to go to 8 at night. Then you're getting a lot of minerals in your system. You're getting all the cleansing drink in, but you're lowering the amount of sugars that are coming into your system at any one point in time. So you're staying in that fasted state, because it's not pulling you out of the fast because you're adding too many sugars in all at once. Just drink lots of water, get good electrolytes in, and you're going to find that this is the easiest cleansing days you've ever done, because compared to the normal way, it's just, you're just going to breeze through. And you think about it, a cleansing day is 140 calories worth of carbohydrates. 160 calories worth of carbohydrates. It's 40 grams of sugars coming into your system on those cleansing days. That's a lot of sugar. When you've gone through 2 weeks of under 20, now you're dumping twice as much carbs into your system on a single day of cleansing. A lot of times what happens, and we'll talk about this when we get to the measuring part, your ketone numbers are going to drop down, because all you're bringing in on those days is sugars, right? There's no protein and no fat to balance that out and allow your ketone numbers to stay high. So you're going to create that little bit of a reaction. Okay, so some of the other products that we have, obviously you want to have your food scale, because it's so important to measure and weigh things so that you know exactly what you're eating. Don't guess at it. I thought that much was maybe 8 ounces of steak, but it's actually this much, right? It's a big difference between what it is, and it's making a huge difference in terms of the fat and protein, especially carbs. So you want to stay on top of that. So a food scale is so important to measure the things and weigh them. make sure you're getting in the vitamins, the supplements that Isagenix has. So important for that micronutrient support that we're not getting from the fruits and vegetables today in general, but especially when we're cutting our percentage of carbs down to 5%. You have to supplement, because this is a health system, and the reason it works so well is because you're in health and in balance. And if you're not in balance and you're not in a healthy state, your body will use fat as a buffering system. So if you're having a hard time getting rid of fat, there's a really good chance that you're just not as healthy as you need to be, because you're not giving your body what it needs. And it's certainly not getting it from the food, because there's no nutrition in it. So those supplements are so important. And then quickly, just to go through some of the Isagenix products, the IsoPro is such a great quality protein. That's why I want half the protein requirements for everybody coming in through IsoPro. The cleansing drink is great for mobilizing the fat that you've got in your body and making it available for energy, right? If that fat's locked onto toxins, like it would be if you haven't cleansed your cells, then it's going to be harder to access and burn. Even if you are in ketosis and getting fat adapted, you're going to get there faster by doing cleansing days. And I always tell people, the cleansing days aren't for fat burning. They're for setting your body up for fat burning. And the fat burning is going to happen on the days after the cleansing primarily. So if you go through cleansing days and you reward yourself on the shake days because you were perfect on the cleansing days, and that reward involves eating things that you maybe shouldn't or eating too much, well, you're ruining the benefits that you did to your body on the cleansing days and giving your system all those extra calories that it needs, so it doesn't have to go in and get it from the fat in your body. So just be really tight for at least 2 or 3 days after your cleansing day. Like a normal Isagenix program, do a couple cleansing days, and for 2 or 3 days, stay really tight with your shake days, right? 2 shakes a day and a healthy meal. And then after that, you can bring your calories up a little bit to really take advantage of keeping your metabolism high. Talked about those. Accelerator capsules are a great blood sugar balancer, which is important during this type of program where you're not eating much. And the omegas are great. Adding in extra of those, we like people to add an extra 3 of those in the morning and 3 at night. That's going to get you up to the total with the Complete Essentials pack is going to be 4,800 milligrams of omegas, and that's just underneath the 5,000 limit for blood coagulation that people recommend. So it's a lot, but it's good. It's a good amount. And then you can even add in the isobiome, digestive enzymes, and probiotics if you want. And then once we get into the weeks 3 and 4, I really encourage people to add in the greens. And because there's so much room there for carbs, adding in Ionics, E-shots if you like those. The Nox is really good, because those are a lot of really high density, nutrient-rich products. Even though they've got carbs in them, they're really worthwhile because they've got a lot of extra nutrients in them that, an 8-inch flour tortilla at 30 grams doesn't have any nutrition. So if I'm going to be having carbs, I want to make sure that they've got lots of great nutrition in them. And then the only other thing here that we've got for today is on page 14, and that's the exogenous ketones. So we'll go into a little tiny bit more detail on those. We talked about this the other day. This is what I use, but there's so many different products out there and they all work. They're all the same. They're all based off the same patent on ketone beta hydroxybutyrate salts out of the University of Florida, actually. So you just want to get something that's going to work for you. These are great to use in that initial period where you're transitioning from burning glycogen for your brain fuel to getting into and getting good at accessing ketones. So if you're feeling crappy, you got that keto flu, these would probably be really helpful at bridging the gap. These are actually useful for people who are going through a normal 30-day program and are experiencing headaches. So you could do that as well, whether it's keto or not. And then the other time that would be good is as you're getting better and better at accessing fat for fuel, and you're getting fat adapted and you're an exerciser, but you're not getting enough energy to do a harder workout because you're accessing the fat, maybe your carbs are still really low, so you don't have a lot of glycogen in your system. You can add these in about 20 minutes before a workout. Maybe 1 scoop in some water, drink that down, and that'll give your body the energy that it needs. It's like quick fuel to give you the energy you need for that workout, but not going back to glycogen in order to, which would crank up your insulin levels and really tank out your ketones. So anyways, that's today's session. And I had a lot to go through. That's why I was talking kind of quick. So I've got this recorded, so I'll post that up. If y'all have any questions, you can look through that and just sort of ask later. But if Jenny, have any questions now, Jenny or Lily?
I have.
No.
You don't, Jenny? I don't want to. Okay. I do. Okay. As far as I know, you've put about 2 teaspoons of salt per day right? Like to try to ingest that.
More or less, yes, probably about 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about electrolytes? Can you have like that Ultima packet? Can you have too many of them, or what is a good number? You know,
Ultima is good because it's got flavor to it, and there's no sugars in that, so that would be good. It's got sweetened with stevia, I believe. So there's, I don't think you're going to get a lot of carbs in that. You could check. I haven't looked at the label lately, but that would probably be a good thing to add in.
How do you know, like if I mean, I can only handle like one a day, but how do you know if a person should they not have more than a certain amount of it, of electrolytes? How do we know? Is it how they feel, or how do you base electrolytes?
Yeah, I'm looking at it here, and it's 1 scoop is 0 grams of carbs, fiber, fat, and protein. I think electrolytes are important for your body to get in regularly, and I don't think you can overdo it. Right? People eat things that are way worse for them than Ultima electrolyte powder, and they're still kicking.
Okay.
So I think you're going to be fine. It's almost like it's one of those things that's probably hard to take too much in, because you can only drink so much water, so you're only going to need so much.
I see.
I think you're going to get too much in. And again, if you get too much, your body's going to start to flush it out as well. It's like a lot of vitamins.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Any other questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, if you think of anything later, just message me, or let me know, and we'll jump on the phone. We'll go over all that. So. Awesome. Thanks for jumping on the call tonight, and have a great night. Take it easy.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.